Hi guys, welcome to Just Be Creative, and hold on a second. And let's get started, shall we? So let's get started. Well, today we're going to be finishing off this drawing, and we're also going to be continuing our discussion about living with cerebral palsy. So we're going to be continuing with the discussion, and we're going to continue with this drawing. So as I'm drawing this, I'm going to explain to you guys what I'm going to be further talking about with going to the doctor. So my last discussion, I talked about how I go to the doctor, the places I've been to. But I want to ask you guys a question. Have you ever followed doctor's instructions and found that they were right about certain things? I have. So today I'm going to ask you guys a very important question. Do you guys follow your health instructions that you get from your doctor? I do. Well, I should say I try to, at least. So anyway, the doctor will give you a list of instructions. Let's say there's, put number 1, then put number 2. Oops. Sorry, that's the wrong way. Oh, I'll do it this way. I'll do it backwards. Number 2. Okay, there's 1. Oops. Three instructions the doctor gives you for your. Let's say he needs to put you on a diet, and let's say he does. And the reason why he wants to put you on a diet is because he sees that there are certain health things. Well, there's 1. Well, that was supposed to be 2, but I said made 3. This, for example, was supposed to be 1. I'll show you. This, for example, is 1. This was supposed to be 2, and this was supposed to be 3. But I accidentally put it the wrong way, so that was my bad. So I forgot about it. Anyway, let me continue our further explanation here. As you can see, our doctor has those health instructions, and let's just say it's healthy for your diet. Like what time you eat certain foods. Like, for example, if I had breakfast, what should I have? Well, for me, I had to have like a low sodium breakfast, like things with low sodium, low fat. I can still have meat, but I have to make sure it's no sodium. You can still have certain foods. You just can't have it like all the time, like the same kind of foods all the time, because it's not good for your body. Because you guys remember the 4 basic food groups, right? Meats, grains, stuff like that. You guys remember those, right? From when you were in school, right? Because I remember those. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you guys a question. When you were in school compared to when I was in school, did you guys still learn the food pyramid too? Or was it different for you guys? I know you guys are from different countries, so I just want to know, was it different for you guys where you're from? I had to learn the food pyramid, stuff like that, Pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. Because we had these old school videos that they used for school, Those are educational videos, you remember? Those old educational videos. Well, I remember them, They were kind of dorky, lame, they talked about the same thing. They used outdated words, that nobody uses anymore, And I guess it was budget back then because, they had like a pretty low budget. For educational cartoons, but they still got a budget for them. And I remember this old school projector we used to use. It was pretty cool. Those old school projectors. Blackboard, and then you have the old school projector. You would watch the kid news on TV, the announcements on TV. You remember that, or you remember the old audio announcements like, "Good morning, students. Welcome to school today," and then it'd be like talking about the announcements, do the Pledge of Allegiance, everything, stuff like that. And I'm just putting some touches on my drawing here. So I'm just putting some touches. And what I'm going for here is I want to make the drawing look, well, not realistic. I'm not going for that. I'm just making a drawing just for my emphasize my point about going to the doctor. Anyway, that's just to take, like, you're in medical school. Some doctors take about. I think I'm not really sure about the years, but I know it's a long time to become a doctor. Well, officially become a doctor, anyway. But when you get out of medical school, they put you in what's called residency, right? And that's training you to get experience. Because you're fresh out of medical school, you're doing your residency for probably a couple months, and you're doing your residency to learn about how the hospital really works. Because every hospital is different. There's literally teaching hospitals that will teach people, certain things. There's literally like teaching hospitals. They're still hospital, but they teach the young patients about their patients, and about what their patients truly need, and they talk to the medical students about their needs. I met some medical students once. Nice people. I told them, don't be afraid to talk to the patients about their issues. Don't be afraid to, don't ignore their issues. That's what I told them. Like, don't ignore their issues. I gave them some good advice. And the teacher was like, thank you for the good advice. I met some medical students only once, and that was it. Pretty cool. Because, my doctor at the time was a teacher as well, and he was teaching the medical students about, this is Joshua. We have here, and he's the patient of mine. I work with him, and they asked me, like, what's your disability, and I explained everything to them, what my disability was, stuff like that. And this was a long time ago. This was back when I was still a kid. And that's going back a long time. And I was a fresh young adult. I was in my 20s at the time, so they didn't know I was so young. Because I look young for my age. People think, oh, he looks 16, but he's actually, 30 years old. That's the thing. You can't tell for age nowadays. Like, a person can look young but actually be old. You know what I mean? You can't tell. And there's nothing wrong with being young and being old. As you get older, you get more experience. That's what my grandfather says it anyway. Anyway, if you gain more experience as you get older, and trust me, I'm 30 years old, so I have a lot of experience. And now I got three little nephews myself. One's already in high school already. Well, gonna be starting high school next year, so I'm really excited for him. Well, he's not even going to high school. He's homeschooled, so He goes to school online, which I guess is pretty popular nowadays, huh? You go to school online. But here's the thing. In my personal opinion, I think you should go to public school at least once, you know. Like hang with kids your own age. Look, I can understand now because something what happened years ago. So, you know. That's why she put him in homeschool in the first place, because he had a bad experience in public school, I guess, you know. I don't know actually what happened, but I do know the basics, you know. Anyway, he's doing fine now. He's doing great, actually. My nephew is one of the sweetest kids you will ever meet. Trust me. You know, back to the topic ahead. So, when I go to the doctor, I told him my health is going good, everything's going good, when I need something, I just tell him straight out. This is what I need. Can you provide it for me? He said, sure. You know, because I went with him to see the doctor, and I was nervous to tell him about my personal issues. And my mom said, don't be nervous to tell him. That's his job. It's his job to help you with your personal issues. If you've got a problem, we can help you. You know? And that's the thing. Don't be afraid to tell the doctor what you're feeling or how you're feeling. You know? Or, you know, how your life is going so far, you know? He's there to help you. Again, sorry for all the stripes, but this is like a striped pair of pants. I'm making the details right here. I wore striped pants when I was a kid once. Not that I had a choice, I usually hand-me-downs, you know. So I'm just making the touches here. Oh, wait, did I? I'm just making the finishing touches in my drawing here. Well, the first part of my drawing was with a phone on the feet. And I'm going to show you guys again really quick. So here you go. Look at that. Now, as you can see from the drawing, we got a doctor here, our main character. That's our main character right here. And this is his window, looking out the window at the apple tree. And this is his list for his patient. You can see here. I'll use my pencil to point. Doctor, list. Wait. Ow. Sharp. List. Doctor. Window. Yeah, window. So list, doctor, window. Let me know in the comments if you can see the whole drawing and what you think of it. I know it doesn't look pretty good, but well, it doesn't have to be good, you know, just for explanation. We are out of time, guys, so I'm gonna end this video right here. We are out of time, so I gotta end this video right here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe my video. Bye!